Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com.
Alright, one more talking head video. My forehead's growing, guys. I ain't had no hair for a long time, but I swear you could land a Cessna on my forehead. Anyways, one more talking head video for this session before I go ride my bike for the evening. Because listen, I have this new rule, and I should have already done it. So this new rule is that you got to earn your hobby, right? So I bike through it to earn my hobbies, and this is a hobby for me. So I should already been on the bike and done this after the biking, but you guys are important to me, and I want to get these done and have them done and ready so I can release some videos a little bit more rapidly than what I've been releasing them up to this point. You've seen in the previous two videos, the Practical Distillers and Alchemist Almanac is at the printer, waiting for it to get here. Once it gets here, we'll start shipping them out to you guys. Once we'll put them out for order and all that stuff, but they're going to get to you before the beginning of the year, which is freaking awesome. Also working on a limited edition book called hell, I done forgot what I called it now. Advice for Sovereign Alchemists. It'll be a little 50 copy edition. Most of the information will go into the 2027 Practical Distillers Almanac, but might be a really cool little one-off thing for people that are really really into the art of alchemy and the spirituality surrounding the art of distillation, because it's going to be very, very focused on that. Anyways, this is more of a statement than a question, I believe, from Terry. But it's an interesting one, and I have some commentary on it, some short commentary. So I'll read it to you, and then I'll give you my commentary, and that's pretty much all this one is. But it was a little longer, so I didn't want to tack it into another video since the last ones were already 14 or 15 minutes. So, good afternoon, sir. I hope all your family's doing well. I ran across this the other day, and I don't have the knowledge if it's worth pursuing. You like questions, so here you go. It's from the ADI forums. Here's someone from HD summarizing the thread. The first run is a stripping run with a pot still, and you divide the run into two parts. The smaller part called T1 that has half the total alcohol to wash at a relatively high ABV. The second part of which has the rest of the total alcohol at lower ABV. T1 might be 50% ABV, T2 might be 20% ABV. T1 will have most of the heads and all the isoamyl alcohol and little or no tails. T2 will have little heads, no isoamyl alcohol, and a vast majority of the tails. The second run, you take T1, dilute it down to about 10% ABV, and run it on the column still. Compress the heads on this product and concentrate the heads and isoamyl alcohol into the first cut, called T1.1, which is either discarded or possibly saved with your feints, and second cut, which is T1.2. Use temp and smell to figure out the transition point on this cut. When you can't detect isoamyl alcohol, you are at the cut point. Sounds like he does this on the fly, but I see no reason a line of jars would not work well. Collect down to about 40% ABV. Yeah, you could definitely do this with a line of jars. I cut on the fly, but years of experience doing this and years of experience doing it on the fly, right? So next, take T1.2 and combine it with T2 and do a standard spirit run, either on a pot still or a column still. You'll get some heads, but not much, then hearts, and finally tails. This again seems like normal spirits run, and surely jars will work here too. Absolutely correct. Alternately, you can just do the final spirit run on T2 and combine the hearts from T2 spirit run directly with T1B, but the author prefers to use T1B to bump up the ABV of the final spirit run. The isoamyl alcohol seems to be the main reason for splitting the stripping run. The thread on the Russian side is called to split or not split the first run. The author calls this a transitional fraction, and it tends to fractionate well from a 10% ethanol solution, but less so as percent ABV increases. So that first distillation from T to T1 and T2, where T1 is probably a third of the volume of T2, will concentrate the isoamyl into that third. Rediluting the T1.1 lets you take advantage again of that low ABV fractionation preference for the impurity, and between that and use of the column still, you can more or less peel that isoamyl layer off along with heads, leaving very clean hearts. All this is from reading these threads. I have no experience with columns, as I have been planning to make nothing but bourbon. I was also okay to stick with my pot still, but maybe. Okay, so commentary on this. So this comes from Russia, and I've seen this sort of thing before. You'll also see this in triple pot still distillation in Ireland. It's something similar to this anyways, and everybody has their own sort of take on it. It's typically designed to make a lighter bodied spirit as much as anything. A lighter bodied, cleaner spirit. As you know, probably most commercial Irish whiskeys are a little lighter bodied. Now, in Russia, this was important particularly, and they did this more with pot stills and column stills back in the day, when you were making Samagon, right? Or like this Russian-style vodka, it still had some body to it. But on a commercial level, you were trying to clean it up as best as what you could, because maybe you don't have a fractionating column, and also you don't want completely neutral for Samagon. You want a little of that flavor and character to come across. Methods like this are really good for things of that nature. But they're also entirely redundant, in my opinion, for pot still guys. If you got a column, like an actual column, a low rec column, have at it. It'll work just fine to do what you want to do. But you can do the same things on a pot still, either by using the Irish triple pot still method, splitting in a method similar to this. You can read all about Irish pot still. They'll tell you exactly how they do it and how all the different distilleries handle the different fractions, etc., and what's being distilled in the final spirit run versus what goes back to the first pot still versus what goes to the second pot still. Or more importantly, you can do this with, this is my preference, this is how I like to do these things, either a double distillation with rectification on the second run, or a triple distillation with rectification on the third run. When I do a triple distillation, I treat it just like a double pot still. Second run would be spirit run. I collect that spirit and then I proof it down, put it back in the still. Then I run rectification, either deflag in plates or deflag no plates, and make the cuts where I want them, based on proof, temperature, and smell, and do just fine with that, right? A lot of why methods like this were designed is because you didn't have necessarily trained distillers, right? And also because even if you had trained distillers, you're probably dealing with prima materia or raw materials that are not the best quality in the world, right? And so you needed a built-in fail-safe to really be able to clean up those dirty fermentations, because the dirty raw material that went into there, using employees who may not have had the best training in the world. There's nothing here that you can't accomplish better by cleaner fermentations, cleaner ingredients, and using a pot still. The other way this can be done is by continuous redistillation. So something more like making a spagyric medicine base. So when you're doing that, you might be distilling 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and it's literally taking all the hearts of each distillation. So you do a stripping run, collect everything, put that in a still, make a spirit run, cut your heads and your tails, take your tails, go back to the next stripping run. Sometimes the heads too, but most people just take tails and go back to stripping run, use that for the next run. Take the hearts, go to another distillation run, make another heads cut, another tails cut, another run, another heads cut, another tails cut, another run, another heads cut, another tails cut, right? You're just compressing slower instead of doing fractionating during the actual, initial distillation, using a deflag and plates and that sort of thing. And you can get upwards of about 170 proof alcohol doing that. It's a giant pain in the ass. Now, it's worthwhile as a study for tincturing alcohol and things of that nature. You do on a very small scale that take a very short amount of time to run through on a little lab still or whatever. But again, double or triple with deflag, plate, it'll get plates, no plates. All of it'll get you there. It just gets you there in different ways. I've talked about before many times on the channel, I like those lighter style alcohols as base alcohols for things like absinthe and gin. I still want character and shade and coloring to come through, so I only ever go to 170. You're never going to catch me using GNS for anything that I'm putting my stamp of approval on that's not getting some form of fuckery somewhere else, right, in terms of flavoring or whatever that it gets used for. But for my distillations, we're never making GNS. There's no reason to. We're not going to buy GNS. There's no reason to. It's dead alcohol. We talked about dead water before. GNS is dead alcohol. This will make good spirit. It's just a little redundant for most people's situations. I don't even know that it's going to save anybody any time or effort to make a better quality spirit if you have a column, right? Can it be done? Yes, it can. I'm not sure it's absolutely necessary. The Irish method has some benefits to it that are interesting though, and we won't have enough time in the world for me to get into that here. That's something, if you want to know more about it, I'd go read about it. Again, they'll tell you exactly what they do and what fractions go where. Well, most of them will. So, all right, guys, appreciate it. Love y'all. Later.